Trace your mind back to when Iron Man first came out and the whole world stood up and took note of Robert Downey Jr. and said this guy was born to play Tony Stark. He is Iron Man. Fast forward to 2016, silver screen dudes, Benedict Cumberbatch was born to play Doctor Strange. Question for you all, and answer me truthfully. Until this movie was announced and became part of the MCU canon, how many movie fans out there had actually heard of Doctor Strange? I'm not taking a moral high ground, but I'm a big Doctor Strange fan. I've loved Doctor Strange since before it was cool to like Doctor Strange, since before Benedict Cumberbatch was cast as Doctor Strange, and this is why I applauded at the beginning of this, because Marvel have done it again. They've made another brilliant movie. They've managed to bring in the geeks, like this guy right here, and bring in all of the lore that we love about Doctor Strange, and while not alienating any of the MCU audience who may not have any particular affinity with Doctor Strange, the Sorcerer Supreme. The story is very, very similar to the animated version, and I said to my girlfriend just before going to see this movie, I said, honey, all I need from this movie is be as good as the animated. I don't care if they take it frame for frame and copy the animated movie, because the animated movie is brilliant. Not only have they taken the key points of the animated movie, they've given it so much more depth and elevated the character to a level the animated version never could have. Essentially, the story starts with Stephen Strange before he ever thinks of sorcery, before he's even aware that sorcery exists. He's a well-renowned doctor. His hands are his biggest asset, and the foreshadowing that the camera work does in this movie is superlative. All of the beginning shots of him are like, hands, important, these are his tools. This isn't really a spoiler. You saw this in the trailer, so I think I can say this quite safely. He does get into a car accident, his hands do get wrecked, much like in the comics, like in the animated movie, like the trailers have already shown. This is a journey of discovery. They don't wait long for the car crash to happen, and much like Tony Stark, it's a journey of self-discovery and to forgetting who he was, this arrogant son of a bitch who people admire but don't basically like, and it's a complete change in him. He spent his life savings traveling the world looking for any possibility he can to salvage his hands and keep his career going. He spends the last of his money getting to Kathmandu, and that is where he encounters the Ancient One, played by Tilda Swinton. Now, Tilda Swinton is always a brilliant actress. She's no exception here. The Ancient One in the comics and in the animated movie was obviously played by a male. I think it's brilliant that they're breaking the gender boundaries with this character who doesn't need to be male or female. Kudos again to you, Marvel. And I think it's even great how Tilda Swinton completely embodies this role. She was a bit flat in some parts, but I'm not gonna nitpick. She's brilliant. Chiwetel Ejiofor playing Baron Mordo is brilliant. Mads Mikkelsen actually brought some pedigree. You know, we all know that most of the villains in the MCU are weak for most part. Caecilius, yes, that is how you pronounce his name, Doctor Strange fans. It's official now. Marvel have said you pronounce this name Caecilius. He is a good, solid villain. Doesn't have that much to do. He takes a backseat because the star of the show is Doctor Strange, played by Benedict Cumberbatch. All the worries I had about him. Can he do an American accent? Yes. Is he going to be able to get into the character and make it believable? Because there's a lot of geekery going on with Doctor Strange. He does it perfectly. And what assists him, in no small part, are the visuals. Oh my god, the visuals in this movie. I'm not talking advanced special effects like we've seen in Star Wars or with Pixar movies. The creativity, the imagination that went into this movie, it's like nothing I've ever seen. It's like an acid-blended kaleidoscope of action. That's a good way of describing it, actually. It's incredible. And you bring in the caliber and the quality that Benedict Cumberbatch brings to this role, and the great character development that's done at a great mix between action and slow burn. It's so well paced, this movie. Only downside to this movie, I have to be honest, for those of you who don't know, Doctor Strange's main nemesis is a villain called Dormammu. Dormammu's always taken a bit of a backseat, used villains like Nightmare, like Caecilius, which we see in this movie, and then when he comes, he hits hard. Dormammu's present. I'm not going to spoil how he's present, but I thought he was a little bit misused. But I understand this is the MCU. Marvel like to make their heroes the centerpiece, and they've done it once again. Benedict Cumberbatch is Doctor Strange. He was born to play this role. While the third act was a bit weak, this movie, with a combination of great acting, well-paced story, and fucking phenomenal special effects had me gripped from start to finish. In conclusion, guys, this is one of my favorite movies of the year so far. I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. This is due in no small part to the fact that I've got a huge affinity for Doctor Strange. He's always been one of my favorite Marvel characters, and the fact that he's been done such great justice on screen, the perfect blend of bringing in, as I've already said, the geekery which I love. I'll be honest, I would have liked to see a few of the incantations by the Ruby Rings of Ragnar, by the hoary hosts of Hogarth. That's not in there, little spoiler for you there. You don't get any of the incantations, but all of the laws in there, the Cloak of Levitation, the Eye of Agamotto, and the twist they do on the Eye of Agamotto. Stay tuned for the end because the twist is brilliant. There were 2 post-credit scenes, stay tuned for them, but all in all, this movie was one of the best rounded Marvel movies I've seen for a very long time. Right up there with Deadpool as one of my favorite comic book movies of the year. It's an 8 out of 10, as I've said. I insist every comic book fan goes and sees this. I insist every action fan, fantasy fan goes and sees this, and every Benedict Cumberbatch fan out there, go see this movie. Your boy, he's brilliant. He's our boy now. He belongs to the MCU. He is on another level of brilliant. The man is Doctor Strange. So over to you guys, as always. What did you think of this movie? Have you seen it? Are you planning on seeing it? And what did you think of it if you have? Who is your favorite Marvel character? Leave your thoughts and your comments below. Please give this video a thumbs up and be sure to hit that subscribe button. And I'd also like to make 2 quick announcements. The Silver Screen Dudes are now part of critics.io. The links you can find in our About section on our channel. We are one of the featured critics on there. Big up to critics.io for featuring us, and thank you very much for supporting our work. Our second announcement is that if you're in London this coming weekend, the 28th of October, come and join the Silver Screen Dudes at London Comic Con, because we're going to be tearing it up with all sorts of social experiment comic book quizzes, movie quizzes, Marvel vs. DC questionnaires, who's your favorite superhero. We've got it all coming for you right here at London, IT Comic Con, London, the 28th of October. We hope to see you there. So see you at Comic Con, guys. Laters.